Hi, within this lecture, we're going to learn how to use subprocess module. So subprocess module actually lets us run some Linux or any other operating system's commands inside of our Python code. Okay? So in order to use any module or library or a package, we have to know how to use it, right? We have to read the documentation. So let me delete this and import this subprocess module and then see how it's used in Python. And remember, in order to use a library or a package or a module in our code, all we have to do is just say import and then the name of the library. So in this case, it is subprocess. And this comes pre-installed with Kali Linux and PyCharm as well. Even if it wasn't, we still had known what to do, right? We would have installed it with pip install. So let me open a Google here, okay, in my browser, and within Google I will search for subprocess Python library and then just click on the first result that I see. So in here I see the usage of subprocess module. Let me zoom in a little bit, and as you can see, there is a very good documentation showing me how to use the subprocess. Like, you have to write the commands inside of a list in here. Okay, so all I have to do is just say subprocess.call and just give the command in a list. So I know how it works. I know how to use lists. I know how to change the Mac manually. So I can just take these commands inside of my terminal and just put in here as a list. So all I have to do is just say subprocess.call as in the example, and it asks for a list. Maybe you have seen the little pop-up that occurred in here after I just say .call, and it just reminds me that I have to give an input. So not a curly braces, but just this square braces, and in here I have to just give the command word by word. So if config, okay, and then comma, and then another word, if config eth0 down, for example. If you don't remember, you can just go back to your terminal and look for the command. So this is if config ifconfig eth0 and down. So we're bringing this interface down in this first line, and in the second line what we want to do is just to change the MAC address itself. So again, I'm writing a list in here, and I'm writing ifconfig again, and then ifconfig interface name again, eth0, then a comma. Then remember, I have to say HW stands for hardware, and then ether, okay, so this is for MAC address, and then specify the MAC address that I want to change. So just choose a MAC address that has 6 pairings, like 001122. Let me do it a little bit different from the previous one, so we know it's really changed when we are done with it. Okay, something like that. I think that's really good. And then I have to bring the interface up again. So what do? We call the subprocess one more time. So let me just copy this, because I want to only change the last word here rather than down. I'm going to say up, so let me copy this and go to the bottom and paste it. And rather than down, let me delete this and say up. Okay, so we know that will work if we call this Python file here, and it will change the MAC address. But let me just do a print statement in here and say MAC changer started or something, in order for us to know that this is really working. Okay, so do it something like this. My Mac changer started. So I think we are done here. Let me save this file. Okay, let me save all and then bring it down so we can go back to our terminal here. And I have to open a new window because my PyCharm is currently running on the existing one. And in here, let me go to PyCharm projects. Okay, so if I do ls, I will see that my Mac changer is here. So let me ls in here. I see my Mac changer. Let me do Python my Mac changer.py and hit enter. As you can see, we saw the my Mac changer started and then software ended. So if I do ifconfig right now, I will see that my MAC address on my ETH0 is really changed. So we have written our first ethical hacking tool at this point. And maybe right now you might be thinking to yourself that this isn't even a real Python code. So we are just implementing a terminal code, and if this is what we're going to do the rest of the course, then it's no good. And I agree with you, we're not going to run some terminal codes inside of our Python code at all. But we have to know how to run this. We have to know how to run some Linux or Windows commands in our Python code, and this is a great example. And of course, we will build on this. We're not gonna leave this as it is, and we're going to actually spend 2 sections on this Mac changer alone, so that we really know what we are doing. We're really going to get deep into this. So let me stop here, and within the next lecture we're going to introduce variables inside of this code.